I don't want to alarm you guys, but, Capcom is cooking. Oh, yes. Now, okay, hold up. I know what you might be instantly thinking. Wait, we've been down this route, alright? And we all got excited and hype, and then the Tokyo Game Show happened, and we all were let down like a deflating Zamtrios, and yeah. But let it never not be said that it is infinitely more fun to be excited and let down than never be excited at all. And damn it, it is time to get excited once again. Why? Because Monster Hunter 6 is back on the menu. Well, I guess technically it was never off the menu because it was always going to happen. The only question is when it would be revealed, teased, announced in some capacity, and then subsequently when it would release. But what is specifically back on the menu is getting, well, just a little bit hype-cited about Monster Hunter 6 being a lot sooner than we might have ended up thinking it was after missing the predicted Tokyo Game Show, despite all of the stars aligning and pointing at that event. Because one of the key pieces of information was that Capcom said during an earnings report that they plan to release one more game that will sell millions of copies by the end of this fiscal year, which is the end of March 2024. Now, a lot of debate was had over this, people were debunking it with translations, yada yada yada, and then without anything happening at Tokyo Game Show, it was kind of put on the back burner. Okay, maybe there's something else going on with it, I guess it's not as cut and dry, maybe we were wrong. However, they have reconfirmed in a earnings results meeting this week, in the Q&A section of it, that they still plan to release a major unannounced title by the end of this current fiscal year, or March 2024. They still expect it to sell millions. Basically,
oh shit, here we go again.
So yeah, that was completely true, factual information. There was no mistranslation, there was no misconstruing it. It has been restated and firmly put back into the forefront, which then means what title could it be? And like last time, it's easy to come to the conclusion that it's Monster Hunter. It's not going to be Street Fighter. We just had Street Fighter 6, which currently is on like 2.5 million units sold, and we're not going to immediately get the next one. It's also currently the most successful game this year, so if they think another major unannounced title is going to sell millions, they kind of expect it to do better than Street Fighter, surely. It can't be a completely new IP, because saying that that will sell millions feels fairly ambitious, because who knows, it might end up being a flop. It obviously can't be anything that is announced, because they're saying it's unannounced. That eliminates Dragons Dogma 2, and so on. So we are essentially looking at perhaps Resident Evil. We had the remake of 4 this year, which is doing well, so Resident Evil 9 immediately by March would be perhaps too quick, and indeed, there's normally longer between Resident Evil games than there would be between Village and by the end of March next year. And ultimately, right now, Monster Hunter is their most reliable, popular, and successful series, with World and Iceborne taking the crown as their best ever game, performance-wise. And, in my humble opinion, everything else-wise, too. So really, if you are going to commit to by the end of March, you're going to release an unannounced game that will sell millions to ensure that, by the way, they keep to their current prediction and goal of 11 consecutive years of growth, which means this year can't slouch, it needs a big hitter to see it out to make that happen, well, the most reliable choice is the equivalent of Monster Hunter World 2, i.e. Monster Hunter 6. We then add in all of the extra little factors, like next year being the 20th anniversary, March is the specific 20th anniversary month, the very first Monster Hunter game came out on March 11th, we have all of the 20th anniversary stuff building to some sort of reveal with the logo and the weapon clock and all of that excitement. It's gotta be, right? So bottom line, we know two things as concrete fact. There is going to be an unannounced major title from Capcom before the end of March 2024. And inarguably, the most logical choice for that title to get its goal of both selling millions and ensuring 11 years of consecutive growth for Capcom is Monster Hunter. But when would it be announced? There's only really one major industry event left between now and, well, March, and that's the Game Awards in December. But if it gets announced in December, that only gives a 3-month reveal tease news cycle before the game actually comes out, which is uncharacteristically short, and probably not enough time to build that kind of excitement that normally is built before a Monster Hunter game. You normally get about 6 months. Which kind of makes me think that the hidden option C here is that it will be a Monster Hunter title, but perhaps not the next 6th-gen Monster Hunter 6, Monster Hunter World 2, etc., that we inevitably will get, but something different in the Monster Hunter universe. It would kind of be a reason for the weird cycle of it if it does get announced at the Game Awards, and if it's not a mainline next entry, the start of the 6th gen, etc., then you can get away with a smaller time between reveal and release, and it might be something that's to tide us over, the first bit of 20th anniversary stuff before the main event later in the year, which is just pure Monster Hunter 6. So if it's going to be a Monster Hunter title but not the one that we're waiting for, what could it be? Maybe it will indeed end up being a remake. Maybe we will get a remake of a classic Monster Hunter game, maybe the classic Monster Hunter game, maybe one throughout the generations, and maybe it'll be on the new Rex engine that they're cooking up, which would make it quite special. However it ends up being, it could even be, I don't know, outside chance like a Stories 3 type thing. Maybe it's a new spin-off of Monster Hunter, a completely new way of looking at it, the first in its line that hopefully does well and gets sequels, something completely new but within the Monster Hunter universe, something like we've never seen before, yada yada, so on and so forth. Hell, maybe it's time for a proper Capcom mainline Monster Hunter MMO after Frontier and Online took their shot and sadly both failed. The point remains that I personally am in camp. We're going to get a Monster Hunter game by the end of March, but I think it's probably leaning towards not being literally Monster Hunter 6 yet, and it's going to be something else within that franchise, that universe, that will act as a sort of start of this 20th anniversary year that they've said they want to be a big deal, and having multiple titles would certainly make it that. Maybe the second team, since finishing Sunbreak, has been cooking this up while the main team actually polishes off Monster Hunter 6 for later in the year. I don't know. But the point is, it is certainly time to get excited again, because unarguably now we know that we didn't misunderstand the information, we just guessed wrong when that information would translate to the reveal of a game. We have at most 5 months to wait before another Monster Hunter game, a little bit less. Or at least before a likely new Monster Hunter game. But what specifically it is could go in a few directions, but all are very both intriguing and exciting. We did get an interview with Ryozo recently, and he had some very interesting thoughts to share, but one that I think is definitely the most poignant is that while Monster Hunter World and Iceborne's success certainly puts pressure on the team to recreate it, to hit those heights again, or maybe even go beyond them, to not lose the essence of what made them so successful, that World isn't going to be just the default standard template for the franchise going forward. They like taking it in different directions, they like taking risks, and that's something they won't stop just because World and Iceborne was so good. They're confident in their ability to keep making Monster Hunter games we will care about without being too repetitive. And, fair enough, after 20 years, that is an accurate statement. So that might support the fact that whatever's going to happen in March is kind of out of nowhere, not what we expect. I certainly cannot wait to find out. And I would love to know what you guys think then of this information too, and what you believe it is going to translate to. Do you agree it will be Monster Hunter? And if so, what type of Monster Hunter thing do you think it will be? In any case, for now, like you've enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more, consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world our stage. Goodbye.